Marie is the founder of Deep Tech Canada, a fellow of the Royal Society of Canada, and a Queen Elizabeth II Diamond Jubilee Medal recipient. I will now pass it on to you, Marie, and you have 2 minutes for your presentation whenever you're ready.
Okay, thank you very much for the invitation. Um, well, I'm the founder and the past president of Deep Tech Canada. And what is Deep Tech Canada? We're a not-for-profit organization, and Deep Tech is all about trying to solve global challenges using emerging technologies, but also very deep sectoral expertise through a collaborative innovation approach. That means we work together across disciplines. It could be any discipline in science, a number of disciplines in science and engineering, and the people who have the deep expertise in sectors already, the small and medium size or large enterprises, and the investors, government, policymakers. And so our role is really to convene these communities, work together, and we hope eventually to fund projects that show the power of that collaborative work. And in Canada, we want to make Canada a leader in deep tech. There are other countries that have been in deep tech for a while, but Canada has a lot of talent in technology, in emerging technologies. And to give you an example of what these technologies are, artificial intelligence, quantum technologies, advanced materials and manufacturing, all of these things that can be combined to really come up with innovative solutions, whether it be in clean tech and biotech, uh, or agriculture, ag tech, and food security, all of these sectors that are very important to our future and that of the planet. So that's really what our organization is trying to do. And what I bring to that is I'm a physicist by training. I did a career in physics, but I also led the research institutes. And I really saw firsthand what happens when you get out of your comfort zone and work in fields that you know nothing about, but with experts in those fields. So there's trust that's involved. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Marie, for sharing those insights with us and telling us a little bit more about deep tech and its presence in our society today, although we might not notice it.
With your background in advanced scientific research and leadership at national institutions, what does it take to translate breakthrough innovations into scalable solutions that create meaningful social and environmental impact?
Well, yeah, I would start by saying it takes a lot of patience and also patient investment. Any given technology
Mhm.
can take up to 15 years to get into the marketplace. That's a very, very long time. But one of the things that we've learned through our organization is that companies that go to the global marketplace, try to export in the first 3 years, are 3.5 times more likely to scale their technology to have tens of millions of dollars of revenue, and that's a foundation for growing and scaling and doing well in Canada. So one of the things we do is we do take small and medium-sized enterprises to the global marketplace. And one of the things that I've learned in doing that is when you get out of your everyday life and go to another country, you also see how they approach innovation. And many of the countries we go to, there is a deep cultural framework, of course, around innovation. And that is, if you're trying to solve some sort of if you're in biotech, for example, and you're pushing a drug solution, well, you learn in going there that sorry, but the solution is that the disease is handled by the family. The family has, for example, in Singapore, the family will have a say in what does that do? How will my mother react to that, and so on. And so it gives you other pointers. You come back and you say, of course, you have to take that into account. And I think in Canada we have we think about science and engineering, and then arts and humanities and social sciences, and they're quite separate. They're siloed. But in order to be good in innovation, you have to put these things together. You have to think about society and the impact and the ethics and the environment, and it all goes together.
Thanks, Mary. That's great. So yes, so society, environment, economics all go together in order to towards being able to innovate. So thank you. You've worked across academia, government, and industry. How important is cross-sector collaboration in accelerating innovation that benefits communities, and what models have you seen work effectively?
Well, it's absolutely essential, of course, collaboration. I'm a great advocate for it because there's no way you can know everything. And especially in deep tech, where you're trying to use technology to find solutions to a problem, you have to say, okay, I don't know. But other people know and know a lot more than you do. And so that you working with partners is what we've learned. Setting up partnerships across sectors, but also thinking always about what's the impact of what we're trying to do on society. And I think we have examples nowadays with artificial intelligence of something that was adopted when scientists were probably not quite ready to let the cat out of the bag. And so when we look at technologies now and emerging technologies, we think, what's the impact of that? Are we ready for that? And where is it going to lead? So these partnerships and working across arts, humanities, social sciences, and science and engineering helps getting that framework. And there have been a number of examples, I guess, of the pandemic, for example. We're great at the science of how we come up with vaccines, but we were caught flat-footed in terms of manufacturing, sovereign manufacturing. Do we have the capacity to make these in Canada? We do now. So the government has funded biomanufacturing capabilities. But again, that's good for society because you have access to these tools. But we have to think about that and think about, in Canada, what do we need to build? And I think in Toronto, just as in Ottawa and all big cities, you see that there are some anchor companies. And these anchor companies, the big multinationals, perhaps they're create clusters of smaller companies. So there's value chains that are created and supply chains as well. But this creates an ecosystem. And these ecosystems is all about collaboration, talking, what's coming on, what can how can you help me? How can I provide you with services? And that is part of community building. And I think uh, cities who have that are doing well.
Mm. Thanks, Mary. That's really great. So anchor companies, smaller companies, the collaboration is always key in everything that we do. It's really, really great how, to build an ecosystem that works for everybody. That's great. Thank you. So you are a strong advocate for equity and mentorship. How can we ensure that innovation ecosystems are inclusive and that diverse voices are not only included, but are leading solutions for climate action and shared prosperity?
So one of the ways to try to do that in our organization, first of all, we're a women-led not-for-profit, but in all of the activities that we do, and a lot of it is about convening and having webinars like this one or workshops, is front of brain about the program is always what about equity, diversity, and inclusion? Who are our speakers? Do we have representation from you know, uh, gender or other communities? We did one on environment, and we did have indigenous innovators there who brought a really interesting perspective to the questions that we were posing. It's easy when you're I think when you're thinking about an event to think about the people you know. but you have to go farther than that. It has to be really, as I said, front of brain to say, okay, no, it has to be a diverse program, and who are we going to invite? How is because it leads to different questions and different perspectives to be shared. And I think that's one of the things that I'm often called upon to work on programs for some of our events, and something that I think about a lot. And I have benefited from people, taking me under their wings and showing me, helping me with skills in being a good science leader, and I try to do the same thing with other people, other women, in particular young women who are trying to become leaders in science and technology, and it's a way of giving back, and I'm passionate about that.
Thanks, Mary. Thank you. So yes, mentorship is key, and you, but we don't always, everybody does not always have access to mentorship, right? And if and that's a challenge on its own, right? That is a challenge on its own, but a mentorship does work, and it's great when you do have mentors to help you guide you along.